17-year-old Connor McLean is one of the bright young stars for USA Gymnastics. She has already competed at the World Championships, and her road to the next Olympics in Paris begins today in the suburbs of Dallas. NBC Sports welcomes you to the 2022 USA Gymnastics Winter Cup, presented by Ozone. The Ford Center at the Star in Frisco, Texas, headquarters of the Dallas Cowboys, but today the host of the first significant elite gymnastics competition of the new year. I'm Steve Schlanger with the Olympic gold medalist Tim Daggett and Nastia Liukin, and we are set to roll with Ashley Sullivan, the 16-year-old who trains right here in Texas, her first year at the senior level after competing here at the Winter Cup as a junior back in 2021.
Says her favorite event is right here, floor exercise, and you'll see why right off the top. Big tumbling.
Well, and that was a great way to start her competition here. She was injured all year. So being able to come back out here as a senior athlete now, great start for Ashley there.
She was second on the vault in the junior competition here at this Winter Cup last year, was just outside the top 5 on the uneven bars, and then she had that injury that you referenced, Nastia, kept her out the remainder of the year, and now coming back for her first season at the senior level.
And you know, just such a great experience too for these athletes to be able to be out here on the podium anytime you can compete in huge tumbling pass. Look at this opening tumbling pass. 2 flips in the air and a full twist, completely stretched body position. Big step on the landing, but that is so difficult.
Very, very powerful. Looks a little bit tired at the end here. Nice double pike, great height, but just kind of stumbles a little bit on that landing. Hey, full disclosure, who's coaching this young lady, Nastia?
Never heard of these coaches. Both my mom and my dad, actually.
And there she is. What are they like as coaches out there in a competition like this?
You know, my mom hasn't coached or didn't coach me. She was my first coach when I was about 5 years old, so I couldn't tell you what she's like. But no, she definitely adds a lot to my dad, I think, as well. They complement each other very well. Your mom, world champion in rhythmic gymnastics, and your dad, of course, world and Olympic champion, has a lot of medals. A lot of medals in that family.
And what are they like when they wait for the scores? I would imagine they had to do it during your time, and now as a coach, probably never gets easier.
Yeah, I mean, my mom was always so nervous she couldn't even be in the arena to watch me, and here she is now on the competition floor with some of her athletes, so sure it's pretty nerve-wracking for them both.
You know, I talked with Ashley before the meet began, and she told me that her biggest challenge, uneven bars, but really when you come right down to it, is calming myself down. That is a very big goal for her.
Well, Skye Blakely just turned 17 years of age a few weeks ago, and she is from right here in Frisco, Texas, the site of the Ford Center here and this Winter Cup competition.
nice start for Skye Blakely here on floor exercise. You know, she was in the mix for the Tokyo Olympic Games. Unfortunately, in one of the qualifying competitions, had a bit of a stumble on her run for her vault and put her arm down and damaged her elbow significantly. 2 weeks later, had to have surgery on it to repair it. Evgeny Marchenko right there, another coach at WAG.
He actually coached one of his athletes, Carly Patterson, to win the Olympic all-around gold medal in 2004.
Double layout somersault, beautiful position in the air, great height. Just a small little slide back on the landing, but excellent.
But was able to stay in bounds there, which was so smart to not take that additional step. Here's that last tumbling pass. Good height in the air, shoulders up. Double backflip right there. Just a hop back as well. But this is, you know, we talked about this pretty much all week here. It's pretty early in the season for these athletes, so the endurance can, you know, sometimes not be as high, but showed really no signs of that here on this floor routine.
And what's the emotion like for these athletes? As you mentioned, it is early in the season. Is this about nerves, anxiety, anticipation? What are they feeling?
You know, I think really just to be able to get the first major competition of the year under their belts. And once again, for these athletes, for Skye, for Ashley, for Connor, who we'll see, this is right here in their backyard. They train just a few miles away, so I know they have friends, family here supporting them.
But it's a very compressed road to Paris at this point in time, only 2.5 years away. You know, it's typically 4 years between each quad, between each Olympiad, I should say.
For Skye Blakely, her score 13.250. And we remain on the floor for the next competitor, Sienna Olivio from Maplewood, Minnesota. Last year, she was just outside the top 5 in the all-around at this event here, the Winter Cup.
Short on that, I believe both hands went down.
Yeah, just didn't quite have the power, the energy, the endurance, as I was mentioning before.
All right, so we'll get the score for Sienna Olivio in just a moment as we are just underway with the Winter Cup on this final weekend in February from Frisco. But this weekend, giving way to the top gymnasts from around the country, Sienna Olivio just a moment ago on the floor with a score that comes in just south of the 12 mark. That red triangle means it's a score that she would like to have back. Not exactly the score she was hoping for. You'll see a green triangle if it's a good score throughout the meet here today.
talking with a bunch of coaches on the floor. After every Olympic Games, the FIG, the governing body of sport, goes back and makes the rules more challenging, more difficult. They said that to get an 8 in an execution is just a huge accomplishment. Nastia and I have talked about this. We don't agree with it. I think it's crazy. The best in the world should be approaching a 10 in execution, and they just keep pushing that bar further and further away.
Yeah, you know, it's, to be completely honest, a little frustrating, I think, for all sides of the competition floor, both the coaches, the athletes, and the fans, to really understand what's a good score.
Yeah, the optics can be different than the scores that you see, and that can be frustrating. It can be confusing. This is MJ Frazier, the New Jersey native, who is next up on the beam. She was 6th on the balance beam going back to the U.S. Championships 3 years ago, but it was at the end of that season that she tore multiple ligaments in her knee, ACL, MCL, PCL, and it's been a long road back for Frazier to return to 100%.
So once again, we're waiting for another score. And it's very complicated, you know, like we've been talking about already. You know, it's not a simple system for evaluating these routines, and they keep adding. It's not just you do one element. You might think that there's just one type of deduction you can get, but there are numerous on every single skill that they do. So it takes longer like this. It's more complicated. There are more mistakes, and nobody's happy. You know, the coaches aren't happy, the athletes, the parents, the fans. It's infuriating. I know I competed in a different time, and, you know, the time of a 10.0, and I'll tell you, there were many routines that probably shouldn't have been a 10, certainly, but it was a little bit more exciting back then.
Why do it, Tim? Why not leave well enough alone?
Yeah, look at waiting for head judge to finalize score. Just crazy. I don't know why they're doing this. I really don't. I've yet to talk to anybody that thought that, you know, when they see a pretty much gorgeous, state-of-the-art routine and it comes in as an 8.6 in execution, it's just befuddling. But now, after this code, it doesn't come in 8.6, it comes in at a 7.8 out of 10.
Beautiful opening combo right there. She's really gained a lot of experience in the last few years. Gorgeous ring leap. It's a lot harder than it looks, losing complete sight of the balance beam.
These leaps are a little harder too when you start sideways on the beam. Ooh, held on to that. Her older sister, Marzetta, paved the way for her. MJ says she went through it first, learned all the different little tricks along the way, helped me out tremendously. Dismount.
Little pike. Wow, oh. There you go.
Very nice.
She had a long wait because of the delay in the scoring to get up on the beam. How much does that affect the athletes?
Oh, it absolutely affects the mentality. You know, you're already so nervous waiting for the judges to be ready, and then also, not to mention, starting on the balance beam. That was already adds a lot of nerves.
That was a great start for her.
Yeah, really good. Right from the beginning of her routine, she really didn't show any signs of nerves. Here's that front aerial, and immediately you see her right foot actually a little bit off, but straightens herself out as she jumps into the 2-leap combo. And here's that front flip. Gorgeous.
Very solid, and an exclamation mark at the end. Gymnastics 101, fly high and stick the landing, baby.
Wow, before the first hour is over, we already got it.
Well,
You got to get the signature line in early, right?
There
Set the tone for the whole season.
Absolutely. Well, she deserved it. That's for sure. I don't know if she'll appreciate it, but she deserved it.
Her sister is senior at UCLA. She's going, though, to Pac-12 rival Cal next fall. So the sisters will have quite the rivalry in collegiate gymnastics beginning next year.
Yeah, I was surprised when I heard that she was going to go to Cal. Nothing against Cal, but I thought for sure she would want to make her way out and to Tinseltown, as her sister did.
A true sibling rivalry.
I know.
Yeah, the scoring and the judging right now is just a little bit slow all around, really. Looking at all the compete during that season certainly gave her some experience as well there.
So MJ Frazier on the balance beam with a score of 13.7. What do you make of that?
Well, that 8.2 execution, that is, as I said, a gigantic number nowadays in the sport of gymnastics.
This is Kaylen Morgan from North Carolina, set to graduate high school in just a few months and then headed off to the University of Michigan.
So in the past, this is another rule change. We would typically see somebody that does that turn squatted down with one leg out in front. They would oftentimes do either a double and then do a triple. Not allowed to do that anymore, which was that was a good change. I think you'd agree, Nastia?
I can't say how many times I've probably said that, but just not my favorite skill. Slight balance check there, but great combination. So on a combination like that, two skills in a row, you really have to be very fluid throughout, or else the judges will not award it as a connection.
She says, gymnastics has always been my peace, my love, my purpose. I'm grateful for how far I've come, and I look forward to my gymnastics journey ahead.
So once again, we see a little bit less difficulty, and not exactly sure. I think that was probably planned as well, just because it is early in the season. Some of these athletes also had a really tough time getting here to Frisco, canceled flights, delays because of the weather here in the Dallas area.
But putting it out here, you know, this group of athletes that are on the floor right now, this is such a rebuilding phase for Team USA. I mean, there were 15, 20 super top athletes that could walk out on any floor, Olympics, Worlds, and be unbelievably successful. They're all either retired or they're in college competing now. And here is that dismount you're talking about. That doesn't cut it nowadays, though, but it's probably what she was supposed to do.
All right, that'll take us to the end of the first rotation here. 3 more to go from the Winter Cup in Frisco, Texas.